Ladies and gentlemen, human beings are an incredibly creative, innovative and successful species. But we can still learn a lot from nature. Our phenomenal and fast development over the last couple of centuries has been based on a very linear model. We extract, we process, we design, we assemble, we sell, we use, and we throw away. We cannot continue to burn and consume our way to prosperity. Yet, we have not embraced the obvious solution, the only possible solution now as it was 20 years ago, sustainable development. A throwaway society was not such a big problem when only a small proportion of the world's population was living middle-class lifestyles. But if 3 billion more people are going to join them by 2030, then the consumer society can no longer be a throwaway society too. That is why resource efficiency, decoupling growth from resource use, is so central to social and economic development. Industrial symbiosis schemes are a highly innovative way of getting more out of our resources, and one that has enormous potential. Our roadmap sets the milestone that Europe in 2020 will be a place where waste is managed as a resource, where recycling and reuse of waste are economically attractive options for public and private actors by bringing together such a wide body of experience, policymakers, companies, practitioners, and from around the world. This conference will help us make sure we set off in the right direction.
The City Council is extremely supportive of international synergies, which has put together this vital conference. And I'm really pleased to see so many delegates here today. Now, in today's world, the competition and demand for the world's resources, energy, materials, water and food, is clearly intensifying. This is recognised by the United Nations and by the European Commission.
The worst case scenario is that the worst projections of climate change come true, and then we get runaway global warming, where we get catastrophic weather change, where neither the West, the East, the South nor the North is inured from the consequences of that, particularly on food chain. China, with a very, very large productive economy to feed, is being very acquisitive with global resources. Water is a global threat in terms of resource pressures and geopolitical instabilities and complexities arising out of different countries vying over who owns the water resources of massive river basins or massive rivers. So resource pressure, if we don't manage resources effectively to reduce the pressure on those resources, to make them go further, to be more efficient in the use, and we don't regulate the global ownership of resources in some way, then geopolitical instabilities could lead to all sorts of unforeseen consequences.
Global warming, I think, is a wonderfully useful hook to get people excited about, well, to get people fearful about what's happening in the future.
We're talking about the unsettling of the climate. We're talking about greater climatic instability, of more extremes happening in more places more often. We're not looking at smooth incremental changes that it will be easy for humans to adjust to. We're looking at unexpected events that become more frequent and potentially more extreme.
One of them is the climate change impacts on public. Many of the sectors will be affected because of the temperature changes. There will be extreme temperatures, cold and low temperatures. So this is a big problem.
But right now, our main concern is in terms of the water.
The next decade is crucial. If by 2020 we haven't got policies in place to provide for sustainable consumption patterns so that there's enough food to feed everybody, if we don't have those policies in place by 2050, when we're looking at a population of 9 billion, I think we're in trouble.
Finite resources that we depend so heavily on is far, far more significant, in my view, than global warming.
The doomsday scenario, I think, for the UK is that if we don't keep pace with technology and with know-how, we will fall behind the developing nations who, as we've seen at this conference, are very dedicated to eco-efficiency and resource efficiency. The next 5 years, 10 years is critical to us because there's a hesitation about investment because of the financial situation in Europe. And in China and India, which have approximately 10% growth still, we have zero growth. There's a greater willingness to invest. So where will you be in 10 years' time if they continue to invest and we don't? You fall behind.
I think we have two choices. We can either get very depressed or we can get on with it. And that's what we're about. It's about getting on with it. And we found that the people we gathered together are committed, enthusiastic, and very positive about what we can do about that situation.
Why on earth don't companies do industrial symbiosis voluntarily, you know, without being prompted or goaded or whatever? Because they don't know. You know, I spent 20 years finding uses for industrial waste, and somebody said one day, oh, that's industrial symbiosis.
Back in 1999, 2000, we were paying £46,000 to get rid of our waste. Last year, we had our best ever year of selling through developing this waste to product program over 10 years, and we made £59,000 from selling waste. The waste that came in, what we decided about that was there's resource value that we were just throwing away. And we could take that and make money from it. And more of that waste that we treated as rubbish, we could develop into a product.
Industrial symbiosis means if you generate a lot of waste, and you should know where the waste to go, and you should find the right direction to send the waste to the other companies, let the other reutilization company to reuse this waste. That is industrial symbiosis. But I think the more important thing is they should have the eco-design in the beginning.
Resource efficiency, doing things more efficiently at lower cost, is a straight line business benefit. So it's not just some kind of sideline environmental issue, it's a mainstream business competitiveness issue.
An increased pressure to look for new sources of growth, to look for growth wherever possible. Economic difficulties and the environmental difficulties are motivating people to look more and to go more, look for more sources of growth, and that is feeding into resource efficient growth, hopefully.
Industrial symbiosis is a good idea. It's a very good idea. The only issue might be most countries don't have like the NISP program, so there would be a very huge need to recognize a facilitator who will be like a middle person who can be trusted in between companies. The best person that could do that is the government.
By bringing practitioners together from all over the world who are operating within different models of industrial symbiosis, we're able to share best practice and improve our own models of industrial symbiosis by learning off each other. And governments now can take the best of industrial symbiosis and roll it out across the world. We found now that almost irrespective of the type of economy, it works.